How do you keep the ideas fresh?
Oh, okay. So with both shows, well, they're mapped out. So it's actually really fun because I know what the arcs of the stories are and I know where they're going. So that's already set. Like I'm like, we don't have to go, oh, how do we? The shorts are kind of that thing. The shorts for Helluva Boss are, what do we do now? We could have them. Who's someone we haven't had them kill yet? Like it's kind of like that, which is really fun though because the shorts have actually become our experimentation. So when we're like, that's a fucked up joke, let's make a short about that, or like, that's stupid, I love it, that's the shorts. So I feel like coming up with fresh ideas is both hard, but also like I really like we're letting ourselves like just have fun in a way that we can't do on the main show. On the main show, we have like a very intrinsic storyline where like there's lore, there's a map, and we have to be very specific, and we have to put a lot more effort and a lot more focus into the main show, whereas with the shorts, so I feel like coming up with fresh ideas is not hard for the main show because we already know what they are and we already know what makes them, fresh to the season. But doing it for the shorts is like we are having to manifest new storylines, as much as possible. But they are really fun, and I'm excited for people to see more of the chaos we've come up with those. But with Hazbin is fun because I have the whole season mapped out, the episode premises kind of set, but then in the writing room we kind of come up with, well, like what makes the song, like what will the song be, or like what will be like the hook of like this character's plot, like we know what they need to accomplish, but we don't always know how or the setting, and so sometimes it'll kind of manifest in the room of like, wait, we've never gone here yet. Maybe this plot line happens in this location that we've talked about, but we've never been, and so that's what's kind of fresh and fun. But yeah, it's not too hard to come up with fresh ideas for the main show, but yeah, for the shorts, entirely different story.
Now, what excites you the most about the new seasons of those shows coming out, and what are you hoping that audiences connect with?
So what excites me about, so I have to kind of separate it because they're in different places. So obviously so I've said in a couple interviews, season 3 of both shows is my favorite season of both shows, but season 3 of Hazbin is still a ways away, so I can't talk about that one yet. But for season 2 of Hazbin, what I'm most excited for people to see is, one, I think like the quality of the show on every level has upped. Like, I think the writing is stronger. I think the pacing is stronger. I think we were given a little bit more time, so we have more ability to let the story breathe. I think just in general, the story of season 2 is much easier to tell in the time frame we have. And I think that the animation has just leveled up so much. We were able to have a little bit of a more experienced team, and I think that people who worked on it really put their all into it, and it just did amazing work. And so I think visually it's just bigger. So yeah, I'm so excited for people to see it. I'm very, very proud of season 2. I genuinely think it's better than season 1. As proud as I am of season 1, I'm so proud of it. I think that we did so much for what we were given, but like this season, I feel like it's probably the first proper season of the show in terms of what it can be. So I'm very excited for that. And then with Helluva Boss, I think it's the season that we've spent so much time building up to this season, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's the culmination of a lot of emotional things, but I also am really excited because I feel like we really struck the right balance. We figured out from the first 2 seasons how to kind of balance all the characters in the cast, and I think what made it really easy to do that was the addition of Stolas now being among them. So Stolas kind of being at the office and being part of IMP easily changed how we were able to structure episodes and plots to not have to feel like we were pivoting over to the Stolas and Blitz story. And so I'm very excited for people to see it in the sense that I think that show also has found a rhythm in season 3. So yeah, very excited for both shows. Yes. good question. I feel like we've done a decent job just because we've had to keep them so separate. I feel like we've had a decent job of telling stories that still fit together but like don't. The only thing I can say is that I can't give away timeline stuff, so that affects what we could or couldn't have gone back and changed. So I feel like we're currently in a good place. Like I don't know what I would have go back and tweak without giving away a lot of like when they might be taking place in the same universe, right? But that is something that in our brains as writers we're keeping in mind and will eventually be revealed. I just can't say when.
Fans and conventions and everything basically that connects them with the series, and also how difficult it would be to have a musical on Broadway.
Well, I can answer that last bit. Musicals are hard on Broadway. I would obviously love for one to happen, but practically speaking, they take years of development. They take a lot of work and effort. It's completely different, industry and completely different beast. That said, we've definitely had conversations about what it could look like, and obviously it's a dream of mine to be on Broadway in any capacity, so I would love to see what like a Helluva's Broadway musical would look like. So we'll see someday, who knows. But as far as what people say resonates most with me when I go to cons, I think a lot of it is the characters just mean so much to people, and I think the reason they do is because there's so much like the audience it found is a young queer audience, or people who feel othered, or people who feel different, or people who just like wanted to see a show that kind of takes risks, or they secretly like musicals and they're like, oh my gosh, like an adult show that kind of looks like a 90s cartoon, but it's got music in it and it's got heart and emotion. And maybe even sometimes people want things with more depth and heart than just a Family Guy episode, and so I think from like adult animation. So I think like all those things are reasons why people resonate with the characters as much as they do, and that's usually what people tell me means the most to them. They'll tell me like, Alistair means a lot to me because of his identity, or the fact that he's a cool character who's ace, or something like that. Or people really relate to Angel Dust. I've had so many sex workers come up to me who heavily relate to his experience, which means a lot to me because that's where it comes from. Like I've known real people in the sex work industry. I really care about that. The people who do that, I feel like it's such a like historically downtrodden line of work that people just take for granted and look down on. And so to me, I'm like, those are the things I put into the show because I care about them, and I feel like that's stuff that, and every time someone comes up to me and says this character like is my like I've never seen an experience like mine on TV, so thank you. That's all I'm like, that's why I'm making this show, for those people. So yeah. Okay, sorry, I take a long time to answer.
So how do you think like the streaming era, like all the platforms and YouTube has helped contribute to the visibility and the freedom that you have with these shows?
I think honestly the accessibility of YouTube is really huge to get these shows to an audience. I think it's like a mixed bag in terms of like success because the algorithm may not favor you. Our releases are like sporadic over months, and that's not how the algorithm of YouTube works. So we just got really lucky with the built-in fandom that we have, that people know when episodes are coming and they go and they watch them. But it's I think the accessibility of YouTube globally is also how it can help find an audience and kind of break down some of these like barriers with like the streaming sites. But I think obviously there's benefits to the streaming sites that I've said many times. Like the biggest one is censorship. Because unfortunately, Helluva, we still have to battle with the show getting flagged. I think Mastermind even right now is age restricted, and I'm like, why? Of all episodes, why? But like, we have to kind of deal with that stuff, which unfortunately isn't great for the show. So there's the downsides are that.